Hey, this is Angela with this week's Living the Shift. How many times have you ever been standing at work, at home, in a store, someplace, talking to somebody, and in your mind you're thinking, oh my God, will this person ever just shut up? Or they're just going on and on and on. I wish they'd just get to the point. Or, are they idiots? Do they not get what we're supposed to be doing? Or there's a whole bunch of things that start going through our minds, right? And these are all judgments. So what's important to look at right now is to start remembering when those things happen in that way, we are actually looking at the world and we're experiencing others from the standpoint of separation versus the standpoint of unity. And there's a huge difference here. There's a big shift in this kind of perspective because it changes the way we deal with each other. When we come to interaction from the standpoint of separation, I'm looking at you saying, okay, so what are you bringing to me? I have no idea where you are. You're foreign, and I'm just going to sort of consider, okay? And that's when you're standing there and your mind's going, oh, blah, 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 and you're judging what the person's saying. You're trying to see if it makes sense in the situation and all that kind of stuff. So that's what you're doing, is you're processing the person through the mind. When we start experiencing others and interacting with others from the sense of unity, that's a huge shift, because then we're coming from the heart and we're not only listening or taking part in the conversation, but we're connecting with them and feeling them out. Now, what's really funny is that when I was in corporate, I actually was really good at doing this, and I never even realized that that's what I was doing because I didn't understand any of that back then. But I was a really good manager of other people, naturally, because I was able to feel out other people, feel out how they felt, and work with them from there. And I would naturally just feel where they were coming from and see how things sort of fit together from the standpoint of where they were and where I was. And that actually makes for much better interactions, because when we do that, we are connecting with the person, we're listening better, and we're much more patient. And it's really funny because I get so many who ask me, wow, you are so patient. You have the patience of a saint, blah, 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 because of, you talk to so many people and you listen to so many problems and you work through a lot of stuff with everyone. And I always say it's simply from the standpoint of you're a part of me. And here's the biggest, easiest exercise on how we can make that shift from that interacting from separation to interacting from unity, is to simply ask yourself, if I were this person talking to me right now, how would I want you to treat me? How would I want to treat that person? How would I want to be treated in this situation? To honor and respect me as the divine being, as well as honor and respect you as a divine being. That's a really conscious way of looking at it, because when you start doing that, the way you react in a situation changes. Now, there is a joke that I used to have with my kids and stuff when I was first doing this, because sometimes we get impatient. Sometimes we get into a situation where somebody is crass or rude or impatient with us, and so our ego is used to taking offense to that and getting on the defensive right away. So it was funny because I took a class, I can't remember what class it was, but the instructor had been talking about how whenever they would get into a situation like that, all they would think is that they'd feel the love coming from their heart and expanding out, and they would just think, I am divine love. So the biggest joke for a while I was getting into that and getting more conscious of that was like whenever we were in a frustrating situation, I'd be like, I am divine love. So that's really important, though, and it's a great exercise because it just reminds us, it keeps us conscious of where we are in the moment. And when we start looking at our conversations and start experiencing our conversations from that standpoint of unity, then things become much smoother and much more fluid. And here's the other thing. If you have the same kind of situation, the same kind of person, the same kind of challenging interactions that are coming up over and over again, many times that's something to clear within yourself. Because again, it goes back to that whole idea that everything in our reality is something that we have created. There's something in our reality. Everything in front of us is something that reflects back to us. So, like it or not, every interaction we have is some kind of reflection back to us. And if we're having the same interaction over and over, there's something for us to look at. Are we actually doing what's irritating us the most? Do we have agreements that soul agreements that say we have to learn lessons through a certain kind of interaction? Those things can all be cleared energetically. But what's really important, though, is to notice yourself. Many of us get lost in the moment, and all we think about is what we want right this second. And it's starting to, when you start looking in that perception of unity, and you walk up to somebody, and even if it's a sales clerk at a store who's like really crotchety and irritated, and you think, well, you don't know if that person has an issue paying their bills, got into a fight with their spouse or their children right before they came to work, are having just a really tough time. You don't know if somebody's sick in their family, or that's something distracting them, or they've been yelled at by somebody else, like their manager, for some purpose that they feel like they've been targeted for. You don't know what's going on with them, and that's where you start connecting in unity. How would I, regardless of how they're acting toward you, how would you want, if you were that person, how would you want yourself to be treated? And I guarantee you, when we start changing the way we deal with others in that respect, and we start putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, and we respect and honor the divine in every single person, then guess what? No matter how cranky or wretchedy or whatever the other person is, they will soften. They will soften, and you will have some positive effect on them. You'll actually help them, even if you never see it. I guarantee it. The other part of this is how we have gotten into such the ego's habit of putting hierarchies as to who's important, who's unimportant. There are some that are more important than others. And that has been perpetuated in our families, in our workplaces, in our lives. I mean, look at, we go to work, well, there's a manager, and there's a manager's manager, and all that kind of stuff. And then how everyone gets treated tends to be different depending on what level you're at. And this was really prevalent in corporate. I never felt like anyone who was, say, like a worldwide, whatever, a global division head or something, was any more important than anyone who was just even starting out or even in the clerical group. And everybody in between. Because we all work together to come to the same purpose. We're all doing something for the same purpose. We all are in something for a certain purpose. So if we, and it was funny, I got into a conversation with my husband about this like a week ago. And we were talking about something that happened at his job, and it's funny because I worked at the same company years ago, and same stuff used to go on, and something happened where a bigwig came into town, and then there was this little thing that somebody did, and everybody's all talking about it, and I said, really? Because somebody spelled the person's name wrong, like that's like a big sin? Like, okay, number one, what makes that person more important than everyone else to such a degree that this person gets different treatment than everyone else? I don't care what level of whatever position you're at. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care, if you're a public figure. I mean, we tend to put the, people on pedestals. And here's the thing. It's not that we should not be on pedestals. It's not that no one should be on pedestals. It's that we should all be on pedestals. So again, this is a different perspective, and it's a way we need to change our thinking at this point. Because once we start recognizing that every single one of us is the divine expressed as who we are, then we come to interaction from a completely different standpoint. If I look at you, and the Buddhists call it, like, say Brahman, expressed as blank, right? I always just say, I am the divine expressed as Angela, you are the divine expressed as you. We're all the divine expressed as all these individual pieces and parts. And so, when we take the ego out and we realize, oh my gosh, it's not that I'm awesome and you're not. I am awesome. I am amazing and magnificent and beautiful and divine. And so are you. And so are you. There's no buts. It's and. So are you, and so is everyone else. Even the person who might irritate you the most. They are also the divine expressed as that person, going through a certain set of lessons that we specifically set up, that person, that individual, reflection of the divine actually wanted to have. And so it's important for us to honor and acknowledge and respect that. And if we started to treat each other that way, if we started to treat everyone we encounter as the divine expresses that person in the highest manner, then wow, I think it feels like the world would change dramatically just from that one little shift. So your homework this week is to do that, to start paying attention and being more conscious of your interactions with other people. And when you start having this thought, when you start having a little knot in your stomach saying, oh, blah, 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 or this person's irritating me, or what the heck is the matter with this person, then stop. Stop yourself. And say, this person is the divine expressed as this person having the lessons they came to have. And if I were this person, which you are, okay, so as that person talking to me from that perspective, how would I like to be treated? How would the interaction go in the highest and best way? And see if you can shift that and just come from a place of love and respect and honoring. In the term namaste, you see that a lot in the spiritual community, especially in yoga. Many use it and don't really understand what it means. Namaste means the divine in me bows to the divine in you. That is mutual respect and mutual honoring each other in our interactions, in our places in this world, in our expression as the divine. So on that, I'm going to let you go and practice that this week, and we'll talk to you next week. This is Angela with Living the Shift.